Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Punny, and today we're going right back into Lake of Voices. So without further ado, let's hop in. I know we finished our first playthrough. Right now we're doing some achievement hunting. So we're going to start from the beginning. My grip on my lantern tightens as the fog around us thickens. While the forests in this area are relatively safe compared to Sinlos, I can't help but feel my hair stand on end the further we get. My free hand fingers the hilt of my sword, something akin to a nervous reflex.
Have you seen it before?
Bamele breaks the silence, either sensing my unease or assuaging his own. Hope it's the latter.
I haven't. I've had no reason to go near this cursed lake until now. What of you?
Bamele scratches his chin, casually, as though I asked what his favorite food is.
I traveled the long way around it once before. Not so pleasant. Something about it just frays your nerves. Although, even being near it is enough.
I'm not the only one who feels it. A sense of relief hits me, but not enough to undo the buzzing of anxiety. The lake, Sinlos. Most try their best to avoid it all their lives. But the hundreds who die attempting to cross its unearthly black waters, dragged to death by the creatures lurking within it, aren't a secret.
No wonder you were assigned this mission.
There are a few who had first-hand experience with the place. Even if from a distance, he'll probably keep being picked whenever they need someone to cross for however long he's with us. Bamele shrugs, bringing my attention back to the dark path before
At least we're taking the bridge this time. It'll only take 2 days instead of double that, and the sooner this place is behind us, the better.
Of course, we wouldn't want to die. So on this one, we're not trying to save everybody, but we're trying to save the girl we started
It would be
with.
preferable not to risk it. But time is of the essence. We don't really have a choice.
One of our allied village, Hemmer, is being harassed by brigaders, a band of ruffians. We don't have many guards to send and assist, only Bamele and myself. At least, the least we can do is arrive before we're too late to be of any use. These kinds of squabbles happen often, but have to be put down lest they turn into a blood grudge or all-out war. The last we heard, neither option was that far off.
I can also see why they chose you to come out here.
I glance at Bamele, an eyebrow raising. A slight smile plays across my lips. His lips. Oh my god. Reading, not my strong suit apparently.
You're always so calm and so serious. Nothing can get to you. You're the best choice they had.
A smile now tugs at my own lips. I would like to thank him, but that wouldn't be so calm and serious as he just described. And if that's how he sees me, I'd like to keep it that way. My lack of reaction only makes his smile grow, and he chuckles a bit before refocusing on the path. I do the same. It wouldn't be right to let my guard down in a place like this. Bamele appears to feel differently, however.
You know the town on the other side of the lake, though. It's not so similar to ours. If all goes well, perhaps we'll have enough time to enjoy the new area.
For the most part, I ignore him, nodding whenever applicable. Bamele is a talkative sort, and if chatting helps keep his worries down and his sword hand ready, I have no complaints. After a time, the thick fog surrounding us begins to clear. A slick wooden dock comes into view, with the sound of water gently lapping at its sides. Bamele shifts beside me, stretching his lantern arm as far as it will go. He seems tense.
Someone's already here.
A young woman stands by the dock, eyeing us warily. Does she intend to cross tonight? Evidently, she has the same question as we step up next to her. It is clear she isn't simply passing by. She's waiting. The stranger nods courteously.
Margaret.
Kika the Steadfast.
Bamele. Hello?
There's a stuffy silence. Margaret turns to gaze out across the lake. Expression unclear, with not much to say. Bamele and I do the same. From here, the black surface of the lake looks disarmingly calm. Wind rushes across its surface, a sound like whispering. Though perhaps it's actually a whispering. I concentrate trying to place the difference, searching for breaks in rhythms. After a few seconds, I feel foolish. It doesn't matter what the noise is. Whether I hear them or not, we are not alone. The Nixie are out there. A feeling that I can't quite shake tells me they've already noticed the little group of people on their shores. It feels hostile. My stomach sinks, and I instead address Bamele.
Where is the guide?
Unless he's on the center island, or on the complete other side, your guess is as good as mine. It's dark as pitch out there.
Panic rises inside me. Panic I try hard to quell.
We can't cross without him, and we need to get going soon.
You can't cross with him either.
The woman behind us, Margaret, cuts in with something like a snort.
What?
I know the guide will be here tonight. I have already made arrangements with him to cross.
Bamele and I share a look. The woman seems haughty and willing to put up a fuss.
I have his word he'll take me today. It would be wiser for the two of you to begin the trip around if you're really in such a hurry. Or you can make camp here and wait for him to make the trip back if you prefer.
I don't need to turn my attention to Bamele to know he's riled up. I step in before he can say something rash.
Even if that is so, my companion and I must begin the trip tonight.
Margaret is unimpressed and opens her mouth to argue further.
We'll wait for the guide to arrive before coming to a conclusion about any of this.
She clams her mouth shut, then lets out a sigh.
You can do as you like.
With the matter tentatively settled, Bamele moves away, his fingertips beginning to tap loudly against the top of his hilt. He shifts from one foot to the other, then groans.
What's that bastard even up to?
Almost visibly start, but manage to restrain myself. He probably doesn't know any better. I'm sure that it's not worth mentioning.
With a mouth like that, you shouldn't even have the right to ask the guide to take you across.
How ludicrous. He's faced far worse than a bit of foul language.
Do you know anything that's happened with this lake?
I know enough.
Margaret is clearly not convinced, but she shrugs and makes a show of turning her back to him.
The guide's father is Garvin the Exemplar. Garvin never accepted the guide as his son, all the way up until he died, in this lake. Your statement could be seen as tasteless.
Oh.
Wow, Bamele. Bamele rubs the back of his neck, his face regretful.
My apologies to the guide. I didn't mean it that way. I never knew about his... well, that.
A smile spreads across my face when I quickly wipe away. He really did just misspeak. The silence slowly stretching between us, the three of us growing more awkward with each passing second. Margaret seems irritated and Bamele abashed. You're quite informed, Margaret. I'm sure you are forgiven, Bamele. Margaret is quite well informed.
It's been years since the time of Garvin the Exemplar. It's impressive you knew.
Margaret smiled, lifting her chin into the air. An over-exaggerated action is somehow pleasant, rather than belittling. She's so much happier than I had anticipated.
Yes, I do like to stay informed. And you knew too. Good. This lake shouldn't be allowed to swallow even history itself.
My town, the one where I was born at least, was also Garvin's hometown. I was very young when he passed. The entire village went into mourning. People broke down crying in the streets. I'll never forget it. He meant much to everyone who knew him.
Oh, I have no such connections. I merely read about it.
She paused, seeming to scan the air in front of her for something to say.
I'm sorry for your loss.
It's all right. Thank you.
My town may have taken pride in Garvin the Exemplar and what he achieved, but we weren't the ones who lost the most. That would be his family. We remained locked in our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. It must be the guide, although I can't shake the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares.
Are you the guide of Sinlos?
The man nods. He has a sharp face and weary
Well,
eyes.
that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Melanie motions to two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strained smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guide turns to face her as well, face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He would have had something to say otherwise. She really does have preference to travel with him. That's not a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all 3 of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
I furrow my brow. It is a disturbing addendum, and one offered with little emotion attached, but Melee glares back, asking without asking what we're supposed to do with such circumstance.
You should go around.
The sentence hangs in the air, the second half unspoken, if you want to live.
We don't have time for that. There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
He jerks his finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
She meets Bemele's eye with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak, and she cuts in.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface. If you don't decide soon, no one will be going.
The guide is dispassionate, stoic. I would almost feel something wrong with him if I didn't share the trait myself. Melanie pulls me to the side with a clenched jaw.
That woman isn't armed.
His voice is low. He darts to glance at
We
Margaret.
can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
I stare at the dock, refusing to meet Bemele's eyes, and try to keep my voice as level as possible.
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
Melanie leans in closer, apparently having missed what I said. I move the simply for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
We all go.
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms, hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my abilities and Bemele's, but there's no reason not to believe the guide knows exactly what he's talking about. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. We should
And
go.
I believe you.
Melanie replies, firm. My steadfastness seems almost weak in comparison to its certainty. He addresses the guide. We're saved.
We shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
The guide slowly turns around without even a nod to show his agreement. Margaret stares at Bemele and me, something of a resolve in her gaze. She then follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight. Those monsters can starve.
He turns to follow the others across. I'll protect everyone on this trip. I will. We'll make it through this. Then I step onto the dock to join them. As soon as I step on the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water surface as reflective as a mirror. Until we reach land again, death is only one small mistake away. We fall into line with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him. I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on slick, wet wood. Bemele brings up the rear. Each of us holds our lanterns in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick and night impenetrable, consuming the light as if it was hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there whispering wind nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps, the sound of my quickened breath. My eyes drift back to the lake against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even a sound of water with how still the surface is. It seems almost sturdy with the sheen of the black marble floor. I heard rumors that the water of Sinlos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water, that just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over her shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
He's facing the front again, his voice expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs noncommittally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitated, then she looked tinnily over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
I admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities, not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. But I'm not sure if that's fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure does not mean that you are. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices, and this time it's coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voice with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guide doesn't say anything in response to Bemele's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bemele or whether he just didn't feel the same it made it thus far were worth addressing. He would be cocky enough to do that. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off another way. I wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct, and something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide again, pressing the issue, not wanting to set everybody on edge even more.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he speaks softly, but I couldn't quite hear him because of it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead of me for a moment to explain it to Bemele, and I stopped dead in my tracks. Only one word able to escape me in a stunned state.
Behind
Bemele and stood another figure looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bemele grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around, then staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted black figure hobbles its way towards us. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edges of its face. Almost looks like it's crying. Bemele backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking one angle to another.
What on earth?
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism, and something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight, and desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Bimali spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Oh, see? That cockiness again. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the videos I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what's next, and I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.